Communication took months and months to travel by mail, then of course you had a vested interest because of all the postage money you spent in writing your thoughts very well and putting a lot of thought into your letter. So you might be a little skeptical of technology's ability to help education, seeing all the shallow communication. Maybe you've even seen evidence to the contrary. Raise your hand if you've ever seen a son or daughter distracted by texting or their cell phone or social networking. Okay, I see some raised hands. What about students? For those of you? You've probably seen some students doing that as well. And I would argue that just as I've seen kids who are distracted by internet gaming and networking, I know my sister sometimes chats on Facebook when really she ought to be doing her math. I've also seen kids, and sometimes the same kids, who use the internet to post meaningful work and help others. We often hear about adults searching for the meaning of life and for purpose, but a lot of people neglect the fact that kids want purpose and meaning in what they do as well. I ran a conference in September called TEDx Redmond, and TEDx events are these independently organized events. TED is a prestigious conference, and TEDx Redmond was unique in that it was organized entirely by kids and attended entirely by kids. We actually sent the parents off to a simulcast room, and so it was just a whole lot of kids in this room, and all these speakers who were all 16 or under. And you might think, wow, a lot of speakers 16 or under, this sounds like a zoo, but it was actually a really professional, really fun and educational conference. It was a kid's eye view on everything from education to the environment. In the education section, we heard from Zoe Sprankle about the issue of impact, effect, and purpose. And what she said, and you'll be watching in a minute, was she talked about her experiences in class and the issue of impact, effect, and purpose within education. So it may or may not load. If it doesn't load, I have the video actually, so I'll just find that. Always a good idea to not show things live off YouTube when the internet connection is not always super sure. Okay, here we go. This ought to work. Oh, wow, okay. No, actually that might be because I should actually be able to find it. Okay, while I am doing this, I will give a running narrative, a little bit more about TEDx Redmond. Oh, actually it'll play, never mind.
When I first heard Zoe sing, I was amazed at how such a rich, full tone could emerge from this minute little girl. From an early age, Zoe was captivated with writing, theater, and singing. Her passions have since developed. Zoe has performed at many venues in her community and takes great pride in her numerous contributions at the Seacoast Repertory Theater in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. She believes that the arts can have an incredible impact on the world, as they have had for her. Zoe recently started a blog, Footprints on Paper, on which she shares short stories as well as other creative ideas. She plans to continue pursuing her passions and her strong dedication to the arts. Please welcome Zoe Sprankle to the stage.
Impact. Impact, effect, purpose. These words are very powerful. For kids and even adults, they're sometimes intimidating. We find ourselves asking, am I making an impact? Will it have an effect on the world? Does it have a purpose? Hi, I'm Zoe Sprankle, and I am a student. For most of my life, I have learned in a boring little classroom, where I'm guessing most of you have as well. Our work and achievements are kept quiet and conserved on the gray walls of our small classroom. No impact, no effect on the world around us, and mostly, no purpose. Now, I know this does not sound the least bit positive, yet it is the truth. This has been my learning experience. I call this speech footprints because isn't that what we want students to be doing? Making a footprint in the world? Now, some students may think, this is impossible. I'm just a kid in my own little private world. Now, some ways we make footprints today are with tools on the internet, YouTube, Facebook, or even posting on mylifeisaverage.com. There are so many ways for kids to promote themselves on the web. Hopefully, these tools are helping us make an impact, effect, purpose. Some kids may be watching at home thinking, all these speakers are so incredible. How could I ever do the things they have done? That's what I thought when I saw the lineup. But the thing is, you can change the world with something as small and simple as a note.
And actually, the speech is very good, so you should go on to TEDxDresden.com to watch the rest of it. But she went on to describe her own experience where she was watching a play, and then afterwards, and it was a very powerful experience for her, and writing a note and seeing how even something as small as that had an impact. Now, one of the most common complaints from students is that school is boring, and I think that a lot of this may not be because we don't like to learn or because the information isn't interesting, but rather because we look at what we're doing inside of school and we see, where's the impact, where's the effect, and where's the purpose. And we, a lot of students really want to have a venue for expression inside of their school. And so Kiran Bir-Sethi spoke at TED India about exactly how she was doing that, and I'm doubting it'll play, so I'm just going to, let's see, here we go, this should work.
Contagious is a good word. Even in the times of H1N1, I like the word. Laughter is contagious, passion is contagious, inspiration is contagious. We've heard some remarkable stories from some remarkable speakers. But for me, what was contagious about all of them was that they were infected by something I call the I can bug. So the question is, why only them? In a country of 1 billion people and some, why so few? Is it luck? Is it chance? Can we all not systematically and consciously get infected? So in the next 8 minutes, I would like to share with you my story. I got infected when I was 17, when as a student of the design college, I encountered adults who actually believed in my ideas, challenged me, and had lots of cups of chai with me. And I was struck by just how wonderful it felt, and how contagious that feeling was. I also realized I should have got infected when I was 7. So when I started Riverside School 10 years ago, it became a lab to prototype and refine a design process that could consciously infect the mind with the I can bug. And I uncovered that if learning is embedded in real-world context, that is, if you blur the boundaries between school and life, then children go through a journey of aware, where they can see the change, enable, be changed, and then empower, lead the change. And that directly increased student well-being. Children became more competent and less helpless. But this is all common sense. So I'd like to show you a little glimpse of what common practice looks like at Riverside. A little background. When my grade 5 was learning about child rights, they were made to roll incense sticks, agarbattis, for 8 hours to experience what it means to be a child laborer. It transformed them. What you will see is their journey, and then their utter conviction that they could go out and change the world. So that's them rolling. And in 2 hours, after their backs broke, they were changed. And once that happened, they were out in the city, convincing everybody that child labor just had to be abolished. And look at Raghav. That moment when his face changes because he's been able to understand that he has shifted that man's mindset.
So I'm going to pause it there. And again, I highly encourage you to go to TED and watch the rest of Kiran Bir-Sethi's speech. But as you see in that example, she's actually getting the kids to go out and have an impact on the world. Now, I know that that might not be quite legal here, so you might be wondering, well, I can't exactly suggest to the school board that students be allowed to roll incense sticks for 8 hours. That's not exactly feasible. So there are many examples of social awareness and service learning taking place in the United States with the help of technology today. And so one of them, and I have the great privilege of working with the World Food Program on this, is something called Free Rice. And Free Rice, which some of you may have heard of, it's a website where anyone can answer quiz questions on a wide variety of topics, from vocabulary to chemistry. And for every single question that you answer correctly, then a site sponsor will donate 10 grains of rice to the World Food Program, which goes to help the hungry. And I actually went, since I'm a World Food Program youth ambassador, and I had the privilege to go to Sri Lanka last year before they were hit by devastating floods, actually, and meet some of the people who are benefited by the World Food Program. And so websites like Free Rice, this might seem like a really basic application on the surface. It's a quiz website and sponsors donate the rice. But the lessons that we can learn from Free Rice, having an impact and an effect and a purpose through technology, the power of word of mouth and social media to do good, I think that these are lessons we can truly apply to education. There are many examples of service learning taking place in the United States as well with the help of technology. I was reading this Edutopia article about social media and education that mentioned this example. Brian Kiewit was a science teacher, and he asked a group of 8th graders at his school to pick a problem in their local community and solve it. Now I'll start to read from the Edutopia article. They picked bufflegrass, that fast-growing, flame-resistant menace which is cheaply imported by some states as inexpensive erosion control and cattle feed. But, like something out of a bee horror film, it devours the natural habitat, stealing water and sucking the nutrients from the ecosystem, and has a shelf life seemingly longer than a Twinkie. In other words, after we're dead and gone, it will be Twinkies, cockroaches, and bufflegrass left behind. But once the students discovered the plague-like weed, they weren't sure how to spread the word of its horrors. One student declared that they needed to get the word out. After all, knowledge is power. So they created a Facebook page devoted to the threat and also posted a rap song on YouTube, which again is not going to work, so I'm going to quickly show a tiny bit of that just so you get a sense of exactly what they did. Not too much of it, maybe like half a minute or so. And so this is actually, there's a very dramatic opening, and they're talking about plant lives just when this comes up. Of plants. It's confused some people.
This is bufflegrass, and as you can see, there are seeds on the bufflegrass.
No. My name is the Weed Killer. Call me anytime. You can talk to me as long as it rhymes.
So that's the very funny intro, and they go on actually. Now you might be thinking, okay, so they made a rap song and they explained bufflegrass, and they actually went into detail about how exactly you remove it and how to recognize it. So it was very informative, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think that the students were a whole lot more engaged than if the teacher had stood at the front of the classroom and said, hello class, today we're going to be learning about bufflegrass, and bufflegrass is a plague-like weed that is invading the state of Arizona. By making this rap song, by doing their own research, by choosing this problem that faced their community, then they were able, or this teacher was able to create something that a lot of people are really looking towards, students who love the learning process. And I'm going to begin to read off the quote as well. Using the social networking tools of our age, this one Tucson teacher and his small group of students began to educate politicians, farmers, and Facebook fans like me. Using 21st century tools, they become advocates for their own local community. So one of the things that I like best about this example, the March of the Bufflegrass, is the fact that this project made the learning relevant to kids, because as I said, it wasn't the teacher standing in the front of the classroom saying, hey, we're going to learn about bufflegrass. By taking ownership over their learning, these students became interested in the issue and had an impact outside of their classroom. So what can you do? Ask yourself, even if you don't work directly as a teacher or directly with students, you can ask yourself, what are issues that affect my community, and how could students be a part of the solution? How could my school be a part of the solution? Many people focus on students graduating from high school, going to college, and getting a job as the start of the solution. But I believe that students can begin making a difference at the same, in school at the same time. In other words, make a difference no matter how young. A classroom where students have the opportunity to solve real-life problems and engage in service learning, I believe, is an innovative classroom. I believe that an innovative classroom isn't just one where the world comes to us, it's one where we are able to learn about the world and help the world. It's one where we can have voice in the education decisions that affect our future, and it's a connected one, in which students can connect in more ways than one, not just in person but also online, whether it's checking their grades or communicating with teachers or even seeing whether they've paid for their lunch yet. It's one where we can use online technology like blogging to create meaningful work. I think that most people would agree with me when I say that the web has changed the way that we think about knowledge. But when I said this, my dad exclaimed,